So thank you for joining us today. Can you start off with your name and why you're seeking election as a state representative?
Yes, yes. My name is Jasimone C. Ward, not Jasmine, Jasimone. I'm named after jazz music and Nina Simone. So my parents combined them. So Jasimone. Um, I'm seeking, is it okay if I guess jot down some notes? Is that fine? Okay. So I'm seeking state rep for a lot of reasons, actually, like quite a bit of reasons. First, and I know it sounds cliche, but I really, really want to be the change I want to see. Um, any and everyone can come up with like problems, but there are few people that actually have tangible solutions, right? And what I mean with tangible solutions is, let me how do I explain this? I can compare it to a clock. A clock has many components to run, right? If one of those components break, if you fix that component, the clock should be able to function properly, right? But realistically, it's never just one component that breaks in the clock. It's several components. So if we continue to tackle just that one component, then we'll still have a broken clock. And that's problematic with, I think, leadership right now. I'm not going to say leadership in general because I'm part of the problem as well, right? So we tackle one issue and we ignore all the other ones. And that's problematic because at the end of the day, the clock isn't going to run unless we address all of the issues. And that's with community, that's with family, and that's with society as a whole. So I think my experiences and the things that I went through has given me insight and has equipped me to be a critical thinker, right? So I can see the different areas, different components that's broken instead of just one. So that's one of the reasons I really want to be the change. I'm tired of everyone, for example, like everyone just say, when I was growing up, it was a campaign that said, just say no to drugs, right? As if people just wake up and say, I want to abuse drugs. I want to be a substance abuser. You know what I'm saying? Like people don't wake up and do that. People do drugs and we can sanction it and penalize it and do all type of stuff to get rid of the problem. But until we have a real conversation about what else is contributing to the drug usage, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we done sanctioned, we done penalized it. We did everything we could, and we still have an epidemic or pandemic or whatever they want to call it, depending on whoever it comes from, right? And but the thing is, until we start addressing traumas or issues that create the usage, or like a lot of times I have a nephew that lost his mother and he's been through a lot, like things that I don't want to go in details about, but he's traumatized, right? And he gets up every morning, and the only reason he can get up every morning is because he has a drink and he smokes weed. He doesn't want to do it, but that's the only way he can get up in the morning. So me being in good faith, me being his auntie, I can't realistically just tell him, hey, baby, stop doing drugs. Don't do it because it's bad for you, or don't do it because you're not going to get a high paying job when he can't even get up and function in the morning, right? So in order to address that, fix the trauma that makes him that way. You know what I'm saying? Fix that ill. And we don't do that as a society. We just see it as one component when there's many, many, many other components. So I'm running for state rep because, like I said, I will bring that insight. I will bring that perspective that people are ignoring. Second reason I want to run for state rep is because I don't know if you know or you may not know, I've had an array of professions. I did community organizing, I did public health, I did healthcare, I did peer mentorship, youth mentorship, and everything. And every system I participated in, it was so many wrongs that after a while I felt like I was a co-conspirator, you know. And I don't know if you're familiar with the judicial system, but a co-conspirator is just as guilty as a perpetrator. So after a while, you know, I became a perpetrator. I became just as guilty as the institutions and the people that created the systems. So I'm the biggest, I'm tired of being a problem. Definitely tired of being a problem. I'm ready to be the solution.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And those are very powerful reasons to run. Now, you did touch on a little bit of background about some of your jobs. So my next question for you is, what have been some of your career highlights to kind of lead you towards this path or career accomplishment?
Highlights. Oh my God. I've been a pharmacy technician. I worked at the missions before. I did community organizing. I was an emergency medical technician. I'm currently a mental health recovery coach. And to be honest, I can't narrow it down to one particular job that get me to this point, right? It's a combination of all of them, you know, that got me to where I am. So the highlights, I'm a firm believer. Everyone thinks to be extraordinary or to do great things, you have to do big things, grand things all the time. But I'm a believer that you can do small things and just do it consistently, right? And in doing that consistently, you can bring about change and you can make a difference in somebody else's life. So every job I did, every day I was very intentional and said, I'm gonna be the best version of me. Like even in the back of the rigs at time with my patients, they require physical treatment, but more of them require emotional support. A lot of times, like I would give them hugs, I would touch them, just because you don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them, what they were dealing with was more than just physical. It was more than just getting patched up, right? Bandaged up and sent on their way, you know? So that was rewarding. I did youth mentorship at a school, pretty, well, quote unquote, they would say a bad school and stuff like that. And we did a lot of restorative justice practices and stuff like that. And that was amazing because every day I came in, like the kids would run to me, they would gravitate to me. Like if they didn't get a hug that day, like they would be upset. And that was amazing to me because it's like, man, for that day, somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like just my presence, me being here made someone want to come to school or made someone want to be better. And then like, once I got their attention, once they knew I was genuine, I wasn't disingenuous, I wasn't going to lie to them. That's my promise. No matter what you do, I'm always going to keep it 100 with you and I'm always going to love you. But I'm going to correct you as well because those that you love, you correct, right? So as long as I kept my end of the deal with them, they kept theirs. So I seen people that was 2 grades behind graduate. I seen people that wasn't going to school start coming to school just to get the hug, right? Whatever the reason, here, come get this hug. You know what? You ain't got to come to me. I'll come to you to give you this hug, right? So that was amazing. It's just, like I said, I can't pinpoint one job because every job I've done, I've loved it. And it's not one. Not one.
Okay. Now we'll focus on, if you were elected, what is something that you would like to accomplish?
Okay. I got quite a bit of things. Now here I go. Let me bring up my little handy thing. I apologize if that's not part of the interviewing process. This is new to me, so bear with me.
No, you're okay.
So can you repeat the question again?
So if you were elected, what is something or some things that you would like to accomplish?
Oh God. if I was elected, I would like to start having real conversations, right? Um, I would like to start talking about the healthcare disparities in America, in Chicago or whatnot. I got some notes. In 2013, the CDC reported that infants born to African American women have the highest infant mortality rate, being at 11.11 infant deaths per 1,000. Heart disease and cancer are the leading cause of death across racial, ethnic, and gender groups. African Americans were more than 30% more likely to die from heart disease than any other race. African American males are twice as likely to die prematurely from strokes than whites, and African American women are 42% more likely to die from breast cancer than their counterparts, right? So we're probably wondering where these disparities come from. And it cannot be genetically, because genetically there is no difference between the races, right? So the only honest response to that, it's poverty, culture, social injustice, and racism. So when we start having those conversations, those honest conversations, then we can start getting to the problem. Another problem that we have that I definitely want to address is access to healthcare, meaning inadequate healthcare, right? And I emphasize adequate, because it's a lot of people that get treatment, but it's not adequate treatment. It's not access, In this country, we have so many people not insured or underinsured. That's problematic, right? Premiums are high, everything. And I just wanted to tell like a quick story about inadequate healthcare, right? So in 2019, I was diagnosed with cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, HCC, cancer of the liver. For over 2 years, I was misdiagnosed. And I'm not gonna specify which hospital did it, but for 2 years, it went from a lesion, a spot on my liver, to 2 years later, 11.2 centimeter tumor that was inoperable, right? But through those 2 years, I'm telling them, hey, something ain't right here. This is growing. I have cancer in the family. I continue to advocate for myself, and I continue to ask for basic needs. Hey, give me a diagnostic test. Hey, give me an MRI. Hey, give me a biopsy. And they just kept saying it. They were very dismissive, like, oh, no, we're just going to watch it grow. We're just going to watch it grow. And if you know anything about the medical profession, anything that's a tumor or tumorous, when it doesn't grow, it's benign. But when it grows, it's usually cancerous. So they continue to watch it grow, right? So we're watching it grow, and I'm continuing to get further along in the progression of cancer. But yet I'm still like, hey, no, this ain't right. Like, I don't want to watch it grow no more. So I'm going to change facilities. I changed facilities, and literally that same day, August 5th, I got an MRI. The doctor said, no, I don't feel comfortable watching it grow no more. Let's get an MRI. Got an MRI that day. The next day, he called, it's 11.5 centimeters. That's not good. The following day, I got to a hepatologist, the liver doctor, and by Monday, they called me with the diagnosis, you have cancer, and it's inoperable. So the point of making that story is that I got in remission, right? I had a liver resection. I had radiation. I had to do everything it was to get back to where I'm currently in remission now. So I'm elated that I'm in remission, but I would be amiss if I didn't acknowledge all the people that died and will die because they didn't have the knowledge that I had, that they didn't know to advocate for themselves, that they didn't know, you know what I'm saying, that something wasn't right. So it's just unfortunate and disheartening in the same. Like I said, I do want to acknowledge that I'm appreciative that I'm still here talking with you, brother, right now. But then I still can't help but to think that the only reason I'm here is because I had the medical knowledge. And then I feel worse because I shouldn't be here because of that benefit, right? healthcare should be a birthright, not a luxury. You know what I'm saying? Adequate healthcare shouldn't be something that you get because you have the money or you know the lingo or the dialogue. So I'm definitely want to tackle that because every day I live, I feel like I live in guilt because I'm here only because I had medical background and I knew something wasn't right. So definitely, I definitely gotta tackle healthcare and the inequality and the access and the inadequacy of healthcare, especially with people of color and low income individuals as well, because it's not just, I'm gonna reiterate, it's not just a race thing, it's a socioeconomic thing as well. And because we have more in common, we have more in common than we have differences. So I definitely want to tackle that. In the same line, drug prices is just insane. You're about to raise your hand. Did something happen?
Mm.
Oh, okay. So yeah, drug prices are insane. Even if you are properly diagnosed, most people can't afford the care or treatment to eradicate the problem, right? My father had diabetes and he rationed his insulin because he couldn't afford it. So, you know, with that, like, that was problematic, but we really had no choice because it was over 1,000 something, you know what I mean, for just 1 week of insulin. So we was like, okay, well, you take this and then don't take it for the next 3 days, you know, and stuff like that. Long story short, he lost his sight and had complications from diabetes because he couldn't afford medication. That's problematic. You know, I would go pick up my grandmother's and my great grandmother's medication. And again, I would be at there like, okay, well, we got 100, this medication, this blood pressure medication, $100. This glucagon is 75. We just gonna pick up this and leave the rest. And then we'll get some groceries. You know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't have to mitigate. You shouldn't have to choose between basic needs. So that has to change. And again, that's not a black or white thing. That's socioeconomic. That's the hierarchy of things. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a firm believer of capitalism. So it's not a problem with capitalism because I love capitalism when it works fairly. But again, like just like that clock analogy, it's one part of the capitalism broken. We got to fix it or it breaks the whole system. So healthcare. One more?
No, I think you focused on it, but if you want to share one more, you can.
Okay, the last one I definitely would tackle. Oh, shoot. Schools. Our school system, I can't say enough about it, but I can't say so much about it. So I think if we educate our kids with, I think, okay, the kids are, let me see how to say this. I apologize because I got so many ideas, so I'm trying to narrow it down. So the biggest thing with education is, again, access to quality education, right? Or not even just access to quality education, the type of education that they're getting. When I was in school, you know, I was in AP classes and all that stuff, and I thought I was just amazing. Like, oh, I'm getting 4.0s. This is easy. Then I got to college at a PWI, predominantly white university, and I realized I was very very far behind, right? My first freshman year of college, they asked for a thesis, and I wrote a paper, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm a good writer. This is amazing. Here you go. And then she was like, yeah, where's your thesis? This is all over the place. What do you mean? I can't give you a thesis. I've even never heard of a thesis. And again, I was advanced, you know? And then I just realized how far I was behind. So I'm playing catch up while they're thousands of miles ahead of me, right? And it could be a deterrence. And most people give up and most people don't even, you know, try because it is, you know, frustrating and, you know, but yeah, it's just not okay. We should have the same, you know what I'm saying? Same type of programming. We should have, instead of parenting classes, we should have financial literacy classes, because most people don't know about credit, things like that. You know, in our community, we should have realistic things. I'm not just saying everyone should go to college, because college isn't for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't tell anyone to have the debt that I have right now, right? Because I could have been self-taught. I could have taught this stuff to myself for free, but some type of trade, you know what I'm saying? Give them something to do, you know what I'm saying? And as long as we continue to not equip our kids, they will continue to fail us. And we will continue to fail them, right? In my last job I had, where I was doing life skills, I was called a life skills educator. And I started getting the kids together every Wednesday. We would do a group, and I would try to do a relevant group. Like one week it would be a civics class. Next one would be job training and stuff like that. So for the job training and workshop, I got everyone together. And before that, I'm like, okay, before you come to me, before we do group, I need you guys to give me resumes, right? And I get the resumes, and I have never seen anything like it, Mr. Quentin, never. It was resumes where a kid even spelled his name wrong. It was resumes that had 2 sentences like, I like to play basketball. My hobbies are, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, who taught you this? And half of them got it from their school, and they got an A on it. So of course, me doing my due diligence, I reached out to the schools. How was this an A? Because if this is an A, what's a F, you know? Because I couldn't blame the kids, because they thought they were doing what they, you know, were taught. I reached back to the school system, and half teachers told me, Miss Jas, that was the best of the best. But it's like, man, they can't do a resume. They wouldn't even make eye contact. They didn't know how to shake hands, right? They didn't know how to communicate. I had one kid, I took him to the interview. He cussed out the interviewer lady. I've just never seen it, you know? But then I can't sit there and say, when they can't go out and get jobs, that, oh, they don't want to work. They don't have the skills to get the jobs, right? If they can't spell their name, how are they going to write a college essay or a research paper? So that's not okay. And that has to be addressed, because what everyone wants, no matter who it is, Black, white, Asian, whatever ethnicity, whatever gender, we want the same thing. We all want basic needs. We want room, board, shelter. We all want to eat. I love to eat, so I'm going to do it every day. How about that, you know? But how we get it may differ. So I can't blame someone else that's going to take for me. I'm going to get up and go to work every day. But then there's others that's going to take for me, because that's the only option they have. So again, acknowledging that, having these conversations make a world of a difference.
All right. Well, yeah, those are definitely pressing issues that we face, not only locally, but nationally. My next question for you is, would you describe yourself as a passionate public servant? And if so, why?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But to be honest and to be transparent as possible, I think everyone that does public service is a passionate public servant, because of what we do for the amount of pay that we get. You have to be passionate about it, right? You know, because the monetary gain isn't there. And in order to be good at what you do or have longevity at what you do, you have to be passionate about it. So I'm definitely passionate. And that's just because that's just my personality. Anything I do, even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I'm lucky and fortunate to get compensated for something I love to do, right? It's like, I feel like I'm a basketball player making millions of dollars. I'm getting paid to go out and do what I love to do. I'm getting paid to do something that I would already do, even if I wasn't getting paid for it. So yeah. Yes, sir.
Then my last question for you is, what would you like your legacy to be?
Oh, my legacy. Ah, that's a hard question. That's a hard question to answer out of all the questions, because my legacy hasn't been solidified yet, right? It's constantly, from my understanding of legacy, I know legacy is what you leave behind, but that's subjective, right? Like, I can't tell you what I left you. You will have to tell me what I left you, right? What impact I had on you. So I'm not going to sit there and give you rhetoric and say, oh, I'm going to be the greatest of all time and I want to do this and I want to do X, Y, and Z, because the jury's still out on that. But I do know what I want to leave this world. I want to leave this world. I want somebody to say, even if it's just my wife, or even if it's just my family or my community, whomever came in contact with me, I want them to say that they were better because I existed, that they smiled a little bit, you know what I mean? That they laughed, that they, felt embraced. I'm big on words of affirmation. I'm big on touch. I give that a lot. A lot of people, we you don't even know how many people like bust out in tears when I just touch them, you know? So yeah, I want to leave the world with that. And the biggest thing I want people to say is that, okay, she put God first, community second, and then herself third. So I would love for the world to say that. But my biggest legacy, my biggest thing that I want to leave behind is that I want to keep all the promises I made to my grandmother on her deathbed. So that's my objective. That's my goal in this world, to be to keep my promise that I made. And again, what the world says about me when I'm gone, hopefully it's great, hopefully it's good. But if not, just say it was a little bit better because she existed.